Hello, everybody. Welcome to 2025. If you guys have been with us for a while, we did a level up series in 2024, kind of just chatting with different founders and builders in the ecosystem. Um, and Christmas, we got to take some time to relax. So now we're in 2025, I guess mid Jan, end of Jan, hitting hard, going home with our very first guest of the year, Roberto from Quill Finance. I should introduce myself first too. Hi, I'm Emily. I lead the DevRel team here at Scroll. I do live streams every so often, just talking to builders, helping other builders learn how to build, and that's the Level Up podcast. So we'll head over now to our guest of honor, Roberto. Can you introduce yourself and give a little sneak peek about what you're working on?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning for you. Good afternoon for me. I'm based in Portugal. So I'm Roberto, building Quill Finance, native stablecoin in the Scroll ecosystem. I've been building in blockchain for a long time. I think it has been more than 10 years. First project probably was in 2012, or it was in 2012. But then I kind of saw the light after 2016, 17, and have been building projects since then, launching new companies, launched a company called Utrust with a few friends, ended up selling that to Multiverse X. And after that, ended up building a few other DeFi projects and recently started Quill Finance, more or less 6 months ago, and really excited to be here talking with you.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I'm super excited too because I feel like you're a veteran in this space. Make me feel like a little baby, which is good. I'm always looking for opportunities to feel young. Not
I
that
used
I'm
to be
saying,
the youngest guy in the room, but not
yeah.
anymore.
Okay, okay. I'm not saying you're old. Let's let's backtrack here. Experienced, mature, um, the beacon of advice and mentorship that we're all looking for. So let's start from the top before we talk about Quill in depth. I think that's kind of your end of journey, right? But I love to start off with just like getting to know you as a person. Like what brought you into crypto and what has your journey looked like thus far? I think you touched a bit about all the projects that you've worked on, which I think I want to kind of also talk about from the perspective of like what made you pursue those projects and like build in different areas and get to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. Um, I first got in touch with Bitcoin when I was finishing my master degree in computer science, security systems, and yeah, around college campus, people were talking about it in my close circle, and that was the first time that I got in touch with it. It was like my main interest at the time was already finance. I always found that finance was like the backbone of a lot of things that we have to do in society, and improving that can improve a lot of other things. So I already knew that I wanted to pursue something in life around that topic. By the way, the other one was healthcare, and still is. There's two things that I'm more interested about, like finance and healthcare, and everything that you can do there with technology to improve everyone's lives. And but with Bitcoin, there was a social aspect to it that really struck me. The impact that having a decentralized system could have in solving a lot of issues that we were seeing at the time. And of course, there was something really important happened in 2008. And being in Portugal, we had the crisis in 2011. So it was all around this time. So people were looking a lot into how can we make sure that this kind of things doesn't happen anymore. And
Can
fast
I
forward,
interject
yeah,
really
sure.
fast? Crisis in 2011. I'm a baby. What are you talking about here?
So for the ones that are a little bit younger, There was the 2008 crisis in the financial sector, but when it was really felt in some countries in South Europe was really in 2010, 2011. So there was a crisis in Europe with the financial sector, also having a lot of problems. And this was especially in Greece, Spain, Italy, and Portugal. Those were the four countries that felt it the most. They were even called the pigs at the time. So the people that don't know about it can search about it online, which was not a fancy acronym to call a set of countries, but it was what it was. But that really was felt around here. And also, it sparked a huge wave of innovation in countries like Portugal. Like before that, you had a lot of startups, but you really didn't have um, uh, like a huge group of people starting new companies in the tech sector. And I'll say that from 2011 to 2014 was like the renaissance of the startup ecosystem in Portugal. And for me personally, it touched a lot of the fintech sector. And there was always that nuance of there's this thing called crypto that is popping up. But at the time, no one had any idea that it couldn't like materialize in what we are seeing right now. And especially today, there is a lot to say about the last 24 hours or the last 72 hours. So it was really impactful to me. So, and fast forward to 2016, 2017, when Ethereum popped up, the whole idea of having a computer on chain, that really was mind blowing, and the possibilities start to seem endless. And I think it brought us where we are right now. But you asked me about myself. I think I touched a few things. I also wanted to touch like on what I really value in life. So working with really smart people, it's something very important to me. And learning from other people. That's I guess that's how I make most of my decisions. Like what I can learn more next. So that's a big thing for me. And also family and friends. It's another aspect that have been like a centerpiece in my life, and really happy to be where I am right now with all of that very well structured for me.
Yeah, very cool. I do want to touch on the part about learning, right? Because I think so many questions start around like, how do I even begin, right? Like, what was your story? How did you start learning how to code? And then learning the skills you need to be who you are today.
Yeah, that's I don't know if I know how to answer that question like in a way that is very arithmetic. I just
Yeah.
feel that for me was something happened in my life in a way that I could not take any direction there. Like when I was born, my parents had like a small cafe in a very small village, like 300 people, and my whole life was spent there, like talking with people, like uh, being like people having fun with me, like a kid that they could play with and play tricks on other people, and it was that was an amazing experience as a way of growing up, because I was always talking with different people from different backgrounds and people that had a lot to teach me, like from like a gentleman that worked his whole life in cruise ships and knew a bunch of languages and had a lot of stories to tell, from people that had studied computer science from that same small village and passed me what they were learning and how computers were like changing their lives and changing business, for like a young person coming up. That was like a huge opportunity to be always learning. And then when I joined college and went to study computer science, I think it was like part of the culture there. Like no one told you a lot of things. You had to figure figure them out for yourself. And I think that also played a big part in like fight for learning more, always being curious, always being on top of things in terms of what technology can do to change our lives. And I think it was like a multiple set of variables that led me to always be like this curious mind.
Yeah, yeah. No, I feel like a hypocrite for asking that question because whenever people ask me that question, I'm like, I honestly don't know. I feel like so much of it was like luck and fake, and I'm a I'm a hack. Somehow I got a job. They liked my cover letter, and that's how I got into crypto. But I do want to touch upon the part where you were like, oh, I was lucky to be surrounded by people who are teaching me things. Right. And I think the
Yeah.
key to unlocking any sort of success is mentorship.
Yeah.
And I guess this is where I segue into plugging Scroll Open. For those of you who aren't familiar, we're running I guess, competition / program centered around mentorship, really, like 6 weeks of focusing on how to be a builder, building in public, getting to your first 100 users, all the nice little recipe ingredients you need to become Roberto, I guess, is the goal, but also paired alongside a hackathon. So thank you. This is the ad break. Back to our regular programming. What did I guess maybe we should dive into kind of part 2, right? That was your journey here. Key unlock point was mentorship. I guess putting yourself in places where you can just learn. I mean, university is obviously like one of the first places. Did they teach you like Solidity and like coding blockchain applications in university?
That was not the thing when I was there. Yeah, but we learned how to code, and in our case, was like very focused on the fundamentals. And I think that was like the philosophy to teaching people how to code at my local college was like, here are the basics. This is how people program. These are the types of languages that exist out there. Now figure out for yourself how to build things on top of this. And in my team, I have a lot of people that came from that university, and they ended up learning Rust, Solidity, and other things along their careers. And I can see that, like, I can see that that the importance of that philosophy, where they know the basics, they know how to the fundamentals work, the first principles, and then they can learn anything on top of that. So that's a good point. And I always, when I talk with people, being in college or not in college, I always tell them like, figure out how things work and then try it for yourself. Like, go after things, build something small, even that it's something that you'll throw in the garbage afterwards, but something that gives you fun to build. Just do it, and you'll learn a lot. Like, I think the easiest way to learn is by doing, for sure. So I always advise people to take that approach of just build something small or for fun or with friends, and you'll learn a lot. And so that's how I always pass that feedback to younger people.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of really dial it down, did you learn how to code a blockchain app through like a boot camp or just random internet searches? What was your journey there? I say this because I think I went to university to learn how to code as well, but I just skipped all my classes because classes were I can't do anything structured. I just have to. I'm like, I want to try this, and then I'm just gonna do a bunch of googling and copy pasting and figuring out what works and doesn't work, and that's how I learn, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
I
reading
think
documentation stuff. But
that's
I'm
how
curious about you.
most people learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Awesome. So let's move on. So we started off the Roberto's journey into, I guess, leveling up to stage 1, equipping himself with the weapons needed to actually attack the industry. I don't know if that was too cheesy. But yeah, the theme of this podcast, or I guess episode, is building in DeFi specifically. We return back to our advertisement about Scroll Open, of which one of our key themes, and I guess projects that we're highly interested in, is going to be DeFi. And so the question for you is, how did you maybe land on the idea of building in DeFi, building out Quill specifically, right? That transition from I'm just a builder to I have an idea and I think it's worth it. And I'm going to, I guess, what do you call it? Risk my resources to pursue this, right?
Yeah. Maybe it's a good segue to first introduce Quill
Yeah.
for the ones that are listening and don't know about it. So Quill, like I mentioned before, is a stable coin that we are bringing to the Scroll ecosystem. It's based on Liquidity V2. Sorry, someone is calling. It's based on Liquidity V2, which is a protocol that is also in the next few days. They already announced it will be in January. And Liquidity is a protocol, a CDP stablecoin that has been going for a few years on Ethereum mainnet. The V1 got a lot of attention, but kind of fell short because it was immutable and some of the aspects of it were not that prone to what came up after in terms of innovation in that space. But V2 tackles that in a very interesting way. And Quill, launching on Scroll, is absorbing all of those features, like having a multi-collateral, allowing users to set their own interest rates, allowing for leverage and other things that you can have using Quill. So what we are bringing right now, it's a way for people in the Scroll ecosystem to access liquidity, to navigate what a stablecoin can give you. And that could be very interesting for the Scroll ecosystem. We are very excited about it. We have a strong list of partners that we are going live with, and we can dive into that a little bit later. Going back to your question around why building in DeFi, I think decentralized finance is really, really important for the society that we are living in. Like when I started in 2017, building at the time was a product in payments, or the payments area. We already knew that blockchains were going to play a huge role in allowing people that live in countries that don't have the same access to the financial system, allowing people that are having trouble moving money for some reason. This could have a huge impact in their lives. After 2021, when like the first protocols in DeFi really took off, and stuff like Have and others started really having an impact in people's life, I think we already know this is not something that we are going to discover if it works or not. We know that it works, it can have a huge impact. The question is, how further can we go, and what new innovations can we bring in to DeFi that really changes the way that the financial market works? And we are seeing that right now in front of our eyes. Like we just had like the next president of the United States launching a meme coin over the weekend. That doesn't have a huge impact on DeFi, but at the same time it has, because millions of people are being onboarded to this crazy thing that we started working a few years ago. And right now they are discovering a lot of tools that they were not even aware that it existed until now. Like the fact that you can get a loan in a completely digital way, without giving giving away your privacy and stuff like that. That's huge. So I'm really excited about everything that is being built on DeFi and what is about to come and what will happen in the next years. So it's a no-brainer for me to be in this space, trying to introduce innovation. And sometimes innovation is not about building something entirely new. It's about bringing something that solves a specific needs, solves someone's problem, and introduce innovation to sometimes to a niche. And that's what we are doing with Quill. Like, we saw a gap in the market. We knew that there was the need for a native stablecoin in the Scroll ecosystem, and we are offering that to the market and to the people that have been really excited about us launching this project.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's definitely an interesting philosophy that I hear. I definitely prefer yours, where it's like identify the problem first, or like the opportunity and the gap, and then like find the solution. I've definitely talked to people who are like, I am so smart. I know exactly what's wrong with the world. People don't even realize it. I'm going to build this, and then the rest they'll figure out that I'm right. Um, which, sometimes pays off. Confidence is key to being
Yeah.
like a 10x founder, but definitely pro Roberto. And your founder philosophy. Yeah, and I think to that point, like, I don't know how to word this question, right? Because I kind of want to dive into the thought process, because DeFi has its trends, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ebbs and flows. I mean, like, meme coins definitely like are super popular at one point, and then people forget about it, and then this happens. How do you differentiate signal from noise?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and it's not an easy one to answer. The only thing that I can say is that, like, sometimes DeFi and even crypto in general, it's like the Wild West, and you just have to be prepared that things move so fast and they change so fast that you need to be ready to adapt. So the only advice that I can give is, like, go back to first principles about building products and digital innovation. Like, focus on trying to identify pains, problems, things that you see that are not working super well and that you can solve, and then be ready for something that looks like long term. And sometimes long term in crypto is like, look for something that you are going to build for 1 year, 2 years,
Yeah.
which is sometimes crazy, because we know that to build something really serious, sometimes you need to dedicate 10 years of your life. And the attention span on crypto sometimes is like 3 months or 2 months. Or if we are talking about trends, sometimes it's days or weeks. So go back to the first principles about building products and digital innovation. Focus on pains, on problems, on things that you see that are not right, and you can do something to fix them. Plan for long term. Surround yourself by people that share the same vision and share the same feeling and even the same philosophy and principles, and try to build something for the long term, because really real innovation, real transformation of an area of finance takes some time. Uniswap was not built from one day to another. Aave was not built from one day to another. The things that can stick and be here for a few years, they take time to build. Of course, sometimes people kick a stone and something comes out of it and it's huge from one day to another. But usually those are outliers. Those are not like the normal situations.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think to pick your brain a little bit more about your experience, like, what is a challenge that you've encountered or a lesson you've learned over the course of your time in crypto, or maybe building in DeFi specifically? An acceptable answer is also my life is perfect, Emily. Everything falls into place. Because you could be the
No,
outlier.
no, definitely not. Um, I have something that I've learned across the years that it kind of could look like counter to what I just said, but a few times in my life I stuck around building something for too long. So sometimes you also need to get the signs and move on to the next thing. But it's easy to get passionate about what you are building. So that's the other side of the coin. If you are passionate about building something, you thought that you figure out the right problem and you are working on the right solution, but for a few reasons, it might not be what the market is looking for or what people are interested at the time, or you haven't find it like the right growth engine to make it work, and you just need to realize that you need to move on and build the next thing. So that's something that I like measuring these two things. It's something that I've struggled in the past. Like on one side, I think it's really important that you don't just follow trends and jump from one shiny thing to another shiny thing. At the same time, there are times where you just need to realize that what you are building, either the time has passed or the time, it has happened to me as well, that it was too soon. The market wasn't ready for what I was building. There is a specific product that comes to my mind that was entirely that a few years ago that I've done. Yeah, I guess that's one of the challenges. Another one, and something that I really think that in the past sometimes I could have done better, like is making sure that I have the right people around me to build what I need to build. And I'm going to mention people a lot in this conversation because it's something that I really think that to build something huge and important, it's the main ingredient more than anything else. And I guess that in a few times, not having the right people in the sense that you have all the ingredients in your founding team to make sure that you can build something powerful and that grows a lot was something that I also could mention as a challenge. And the third point, I would say that piggyback on trying to piggyback on what I mentioned before. Like this is a space that moves so fast that if you are not sharp and like trying to evolve what you are building as fast as you can, it's really easy to being like surpassed by someone that is building something new or that is bringing something that is a little bit different from what you are doing, but can move faster and maybe more with something more interesting.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. Now I have two questions that I want to ask. I'll take the conversation in two different directions. So I'll try to remember the other one. But that last piece you mentioned about like, staying positive. I guess what I'm trying to ask is how do you avoid burnout? Right.
That's a really good one. I think this is it's a very personal question in the sense that can mean a lot of different things to different people. In my case, I guess that I had been always in a pace that I thought that was fast, but at the same time always kept time to do all the things that I think they mean more for me in life, like having a good social support, like in the sense that good group of friends, family that you can rely on. Now I have two kids, so always, even that I'm really excited about building Quill, if I have to decide between going to the Christmas thing that my son has at school, or doing something really important for Quill, I'm going to choose my son's event, because that's what I value more in life. So I guess that to avoid something like burnout, the answer most of the times is outside of work. That's my personal take. I know that some people might disagree from me. In work, what I feel that should really be important is, like, if you are building something that you are really passionate about, making sure that you are still doing for the right reasons, or you are doing it in the first place for the right reasons that align with your values. Because what I've seen from experience is that sometimes when things really get bad is not when you are working too much, is when you are working too much and not feeling like aligned with what you are spending the time on. And I know that, like, it might not be 100% right what I'm saying, and other people might have different takes, and for some people might be like challenging to understand what I'm saying, but that's what I believe. Like, you should always make sure that if you are going really hard on what you are building, make sure that the time that you are dedicating to something aligns with your values, and you are not like burning bridges with friends, which is really important for you, or you are building something that you don't believe anymore, or you are working with someone that is really sucking the energy out of you. That could happen as well. So this is a multi-phase answer to what was like a very simple question, but it's what I feel about this question, and it's a very important one, and something that I really value, and thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, yeah, no. I'm 100% aligned. I think I'm like, I hate working on things I don't want to work on. Maybe that makes me a child.
Yeah,
Like, just throw trauma. Like, I'm quitting. I hate this. But the other piece about the social net, so important. Having the people you can fall back on, because inevitably you'll have lows, right?
yeah,
And having people to deal with that is helpful.
yeah.
But yeah,
Especially on this space, like,
yeah.
where things change a lot, and it's very easy to be like super excited on one day, and the next day something happens, and it seems like everything is going to collapse. I've been through that a few times, launching projects a few years where there was a lot of more questions about blockchain than we have right now, and it's definitely a thing.
Yeah, yeah. I think the other piece of advice, I was like, you gotta set aside some time for normies. So expand your brain in different ways. It'll also help you, I think, as a builder, in addressing a wider audience. But
Yeah,
um, maybe this is the segue for the other question that I wanted to ask about like social net. And I guess choosing people who don't drain the energy out of you. That's a big piece of, I think, building or just existing as a person. This is like going through life, forget about being a founder. But I do have to tie it back to, I think, my personal bias, right? Is choosing where to build, right? Like, you are a scroll founder. I'm gonna call you a scroll maxi, and you tell me if you're not, and we can explore why, and that can also be the topic of today's episode. But yeah, like, how do you make that decision, right? Because there is a lot of, again, there's lots of noise um,
hmm,
in the market. There's outsized opportunities everywhere, right? I also work with people from other chains, super smart people everywhere. I respect um, people's work. So I'm not in a place where I'm saying like one is better than the other, right? But like, how did you make your choice to
yeah,
build with us?
yeah. Let's start by saying that I'm not sure if I'm a scroll maxi, in the sense that I try to avoid being a maxi to anything these days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I was a BTC maxi in 2015, 16. So it took me a few months slash 1 year and a half, maybe, to understand why Ethereum needed to exist, to completely be overwhelmed by my own stupidity and reframe my mind and say, I'm being stupid. Let's embrace this, and this makes total sense. So that was a huge learning point. And these days, and what I'm a maxi is I'm a decentralized maxi. Everything that I see in terms of what are the good things that this space that we are building on brings to society. That's where I'm a maxi. Where you build it, I really don't care. There are a few things that I respect a lot, and on Scroll, one of the things that really got me excited initially about Scroll is the privacy of ZK, of course. I think that's a no-brainer. Also, the fact that for me it seemed that it followed a lot of the issues of Ethereum, like really valuing decentralization and security, and that's in this space. If you build here for a long time, it should not be not assume that that's true everywhere. So that was an important thing to me. And of course, when I got more involved in the space, for me also came down to the people, knowing the people, knowing why they were here, what they believe about the future of the world. And that also struck me I want to build with these people. And that's where I'm super excited right now. Of course, the technology part is really important. The tech is there, the support is there, but in the end, this could also serve as a little bit of advice. The people that you surround yourself with really matters when we are starting something new. And I found that around Scroll, you really have a set of people that can make a difference. So I'm really excited to be building here on Scroll, and I'm gonna be what the maxi normally is within the Scroll ecosystem. I'm always pitching Scroll to a lot of founders and trying to bring new people to the ecosystem, which I feel that it's something that is really important. But in the end, if there is something that I feel that could make more sense in a different place, I'm gonna suggest them that they build in that place. Because in the end, that's what matters. If you are solving a problem, if it's specific to an ecosystem, you should build it there. If it's not specific, you should look into where it makes more sense to build. What is the technology that allows you to unlock it faster? And I think that's what really matters for founders. Another thing that I found is the other founders that exist in the Scroll ecosystem are really, really great. And even the founder to founder network that started, founders having the opportunity to collaborate with each other, learn from each other. I think that's really impactful. Can drive a lot of growth and making people understand how they can grow faster. So the ingredients are all there, and I'm super excited to be building here.
Yeah, I love what you said about build where is right for you, because I think that's also my opinion too. I'm not gonna if you there's another opportunity that fits better, I think you should pursue that, because ultimately, right, if you win, everybody wins. That's kind of where
Exactly.
we sit. Okay, let's see. Going through my questions, there's a lot of overlap. Maybe we can wrap up around at this time. I have a generic question to ask and then an Emily specific question I usually ask. So, generic wise, if you had a piece of advice for your younger self, what would it be?
That's a good one. How many times people answer buy Bitcoin? That should be an easy. Everyone should answer that, but I'm not going to give you that, because I actually bought Bitcoin, so I'm good.
Okay. All right, what's your seed? What's
I,
your
I'm in a point in my life that sometimes it's hard to me to decide what I would do differently. Because it's like when you see a movie where people try to change the past and something could be broken in the future that you really care.
Yeah.
And I really like my life right now. So I'm not sure if I want to change anything, but I think something that I did that I would double down for sure is like surround yourself with great people that you can learn a lot. Younger people, I'm already in at this stage that I'm always thinking of that. Like I don't want to crystallize myself. I don't want to stop interacting with versions of that young one I'm thinking about that could make those choices. Because I really believe that the people that are now going to college or getting out of college are 2 times, 3 times, or more smarter than me. They can be like much faster thinking and have like a more a fresher perspective about the world that I can learn a lot. So I would surround myself more with people like that, and I'll continue learning a lot because I think that my son is already 4 years old, and sometimes I find myself like trying to push him to learn things, which is stupid. But it's like I really want you to learn stuff. Learning is the best thing that you can have in the world, and it's really true because um, we live in a time where there's so many things changing around us, like even all the innovation around AI, which we haven't touched here because we were focusing on DeFi. But I'm really excited about all of that and the counterweight of that with blockchain technology. So I guess that the same way that we learn how to do math using a calculator, we are going to change the way we learn a lot of things using AI. And the way that our brains are going to change in the future is something that really excites me. So yeah, I'm super positive and interested in what is going to change now in the world. And I will just say to my younger self, like, be sharp and keep up with all of that change and continue learning about the past and the future. Will make you a better human being.
Yeah. I really like what you said about like make sure to listen to young people because I am
For
terrified
sure.
of high schoolers. So it's very helpful for me. I'm like, you're
You don't
too
have to
cool.
follow everything that they say, but it's interesting to see how they think about the world.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Last question. This is a personal one. Feel free to say, Emily, I can't figure this out on the fly. I'm just gonna end this and we'll say goodbye. But if you were a type of soup, what kind of soup would you be and why?
That's a good one. I'm gonna say, what is the soup that is more messy but makes sense in the mouth, like when you are eating it? Like ramen, maybe? No,
Chili?
or maybe or pho. I don't know. I'll be something like that. Something that you at first look you say this looks messy, but in the end looks messy and a bit chaotic. I'm a person that doesn't mind a little bit, or depending on the person, a lot of chaos around me.
Yeah.
But in the end, it needs to make sense. So maybe someone in the comments will say, what is that kind of soup? But it will be something like that, chaotic, but in the end makes sense. There is a Portuguese soup. If I translate it, could be something like rocks soup, which is a soup that is made with a lot of vegetables, meat, beans, and it's a bit strangey, heavy, and it's cooked with a rock inside the pot. No one knows why the rock is there. Um, but maybe it could be like a rock soup, which in Portuguese is sopa da pedra.
That's awesome. Yeah, I get it. You're like, there's a rock, but like, why? But it makes sense. So I guess I'll cap it off with that. If you want to get to know more about Quill, what's the right, I guess, Twitter account to follow?
It's at QuillFi. Website is quill.finance. Go check our website. It's really amazing. The team did a fantastic job with the branding and the website. We are about to launch when we are going to go live. We don't want to say it right now, but we'll be soon. Keep reading about what you are doing, and super excited about the Scroll ecosystem and what we are continue to bring there as well in terms of innovation for Quill.
Yeah, cool. So I think that about caps it off. We have some comments. The rock makes total sense. I will say it does too. Because like I guess salt, right? It's a salty rock, I'm assuming.
I
So yeah.
think so. But Pedro probably knows the story. I know that it's from Pedro. He's a good friend of mine, and he probably knows why. Maybe he can add in the comments afterwards.
Probably. Okay, cool. Well, to cap it off, thank you for your time and joining us, Roberto. For all of you listening out there, if you want to come build in the Scroll ecosystem, we are super pro connecting founders with founders. So if you want to talk to someone who's been in the space for a while, is chaotic, may or may not have a rock inside of him, feel free to join us. You can find us on Discord. Our Twitter is scroll_ZKP. The best way is to learn by doing and join Scroll Open. So that's open.scroll.io. But yeah, again, thank you so much for your time, Roberto. I'm going to
Thank you
hit
so much,
end
Emily.
stream and then